So, hi, my name is Miriam Kienle. I am an assistant professor of art history in the College of Fine Arts. And I first met Isabelle in a class in Introduction to Visual Studies. And I'm very excited to talk to Isabelle today. So, Isabelle, do you want to introduce yourself and then we'll get started?
Yeah, sure. I'm Isabelle Martin. I got my Bachelor of Arts in Art History and Visual Studies at UK in 2018 with a minor in cello performance. And I very fondly remember that day. I think that was actually the first art history class that I ever took. I had this really great sit-down session with Dr. Brishke in her office, kind of talking about like what an art history major would entail. And so that was my first class. And I just remember you walking in and you were so passionate, like right off the bat, and just cared so much about this class. And that was so palpable. And it definitely eased my nerves as well. So I'm so curious, because that's such a strong memory for me, that class, about like what was going through your head that day and how you were feeling.
Yeah, well, I had just started at UK. I think that was like my first year at UK. It was this large lecture class in the Briggs Theater. There were like 100 students there. It was the biggest class I had ever taught because I was coming from a liberal arts. I had taught at a liberal arts college, and then at University of Illinois, I had smaller classes. So it's this big class, and I just kind of dived in. I love visual studies. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to dive in, tell them what this class is about. And I remember you sat in the front row, even though it was this really large lecture class, you were, you have told me later that you were kind of like shy and intimidated but you were not afraid to ask questions or come up and introduce yourself. And and I was really excited because I think you started out as an architecture major, and then I think you decided to change. And we were just really excited to have you as an art history major because you're just so engaged and passionate about the material. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about maybe what attracted you to the major and sort of that shift. Yeah. And like your interests in art history.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I loved architecture at UK. So the College of Design is an incredible school. And my year as an architecture major was really amazing. I had taken AP Art History in high school, and that was one of the best classes I ever took. I just remember the discussions that we would have in that class were so lively, and I would be thinking about the material for weeks after we would finish a unit. And my first semester as an architecture major, we had this mandatory architecture history class, and all of the exams were like essay exams. And I just remember like being so excited to write about these incredible buildings, kind of thinking about what I really felt like my skills were and what I really wanted to develop. I knew that art history was offered as a major at UK. And I think, as I mentioned, Dr. Brishke was the person that I got in contact with when I wanted to learn more, and she really sold it. And I came out of that meeting thinking like, this is going to be really amazing. I'm so excited to write about art.
Yeah, you were so, I remember your first exercises because in 101, there are sort of these, short texts that you write, and you were just sort of a natural with description, just like really observant. And I think your joy, like you had like just a passion in observing, and that worked out as just being like really, detailed. And then your first big paper on Yayoi Kusama that you wrote and then and developed and presented at conferences. That was such a pleasure for me to see somebody who already had this like natural talent for the field to grow, and to take your initial observations about Kusama and then grow that into a paper that got into these great kind of like national conference to present at a national conference. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that. That for me, when we went to a conference together, that was like one of my favorite memories, I think, of having you at UK. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I have such fond memories associated with that paper specifically because I feel like it was this pivot point into this whole world of conferences. Because the first time I ever presented it was at the Reese Colloquium. And I remember Dr. Maskey was my advisor on that project. And then you were also my advisor. And Dr. Maskey drove me up and we spent the whole day together. And I remember just the kind of the experience of working through those revisions with you all and kind of digging deeper. Because at that point, I had never really worked on a paper beyond the due date for the class. Like once it was submitted and once I got feedback from a professor, that was kind of it. So I had never really had the experience of taking it one step further. And I will even go as far as to self-deprecatingly say that I'm not very, like I wasn't very good at revising something past the draft that I had submitted, which is really great to kind of get more in-depth feedback from you all and work that up and then have that experience because that was such a great conference, the Reese Colloquium, because there were all of these undergrads from around the area who were presenting incredible research on a range of different topics in art history. And I think that's definitely where I kind of caught the bug. So then when I had the opportunity to develop that paper further and take it to CCAC in Columbus with you, I think we were just talking about it maybe a few months ago, how there was another presenter, a grad student at CCAC who was presenting on Yayoi Kusama. And I had the opportunity to go up to her afterward and say like, hey, I'm presenting this undergrad paper on her later. And I really loved like your analysis. And we kind of reconnected on Facebook recently. And I just think realizing that these conferences are not just opportunities to like share your research and also really great experiences to have on your resume, but also opportunities to meet people that you maybe never would have before and then to retain those connections. Mm-hmm. And then also we had an amazing time going to Katzinger's Deli and Columbus is just so great. I have such great memories associated with that trip.
Yeah, it was a really fun time. It was great to, hear all those wonderful papers, but also kind of enjoy the city a little bit too, go to the art museum. Mm-hmm. But and that Yayoi Kusama paper too, I think, and for those who don't know, who are watching, she was a Japanese artist who kind of came to prominence in the sort of New York art scene of the 1960s. She's very famous for like her polka dot paintings and polka dot performances. She's still making work today. And so just this really important contemporary artist. And it was interesting to see your analysis. You started out, very descriptive and thinking about her work in a kind of biographical reading and then expanding that out and sort of folding in kind of like contemporary theory about her art practice. So really, I sort of saw you as you grew to engage kind of like critical theory. And that was just so such a joy for me to see you like really get into that. And then also with your paper on David Hammonds, who's also a contemporary, he's an African-American artist, contemporary artist, also New York art scene. And and then go on to present that paper as well. But I just to give a little background on kind of like your research interests. So, and then you've gone on to get a master's degree. I don't know, in focusing in contemporary, correct? Contemporary art history.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, like your experiences kind of beyond UK, maybe like how UK, things you learned here that you took with you into your graduate work. And just sort of where you've gone on to from here.
For sure. Yeah. I think that those two papers, the one on Yayoi Kusama and the one on David Hammonds, were such pivotal papers for me, not just because of the experience of engaging with critical theory and philosophy, but also the David Hammonds paper was the paper that I submitted for my grad school application. So it was a really important experience. It was also the first time I published an article, kind of pushed me beyond the kind of scope of research that I had been dealing with for all those years and really prepared me for the rigor of grad school. And then I got my master's at the University of Illinois at Chicago in 2019, focusing on contemporary American art dealing with issues of race. And I think just knowing that I had like established this kind of methodology with you that I was able to develop in grad school, but then also knowing that I could always reach out to you, which I did many, many times after leaving UK. I'm just really able to build not only a sort of critical and analytical practice at UK, but also continue building that network and then relying on those connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You at UK, just seeing you develop kind of like as a scholar, but also too, I think, seeing you became the president of our art history student group. Like you helped with the founding of that and helped like establish we now have this annual symposium, helped like do the first symposium. And just, I wonder if you might share some memories of just being a student and sort of like, I think you not only are, one of the things that stood out to me about you was just not only that you were a really strong student, but that you were supportive of your peers, and that you sort of took on this leadership role. I don't know, maybe just some like memories about times with students kind of at UK, like as an art history major.
No, I think that the College of Fine Arts was such a critical place for me to realize how important it is to like show up for your friends, like not just in art history, but also like going to your friends' performances and recitals. But I really think that my cohort, it was so small, my graduating class in art history. And it was a lot of people that I had known for a couple of years, like one that I have known for many years. And we just really liked being around each other. And I think the opportunity for all of us to be officers in SOFA is it was an amazing professional opportunity as well, but also another reason for us to hang out. But I think we were really good at, and I was really proud of the way that we really wanted to know about each other's research. And so I have this really great memory of us scheduling this kind of hangout at Kentucky Native and, just like grabbing a beer and talking about our research and where we were. And I just remember that it didn't feel like, we were doing this for class. It was like, we're a bunch of art history students, we're friends, and we really just want to get a better sense of where everyone's coming from. And I also have a really great memory of when I was preparing for the Reese Colloquium with the Yayoi Kusama paper. I was super, super nervous. But if I've learned anything from being a classical musician, it's that practice is instrumental to success. So I scheduled this preparatory presentation of my paper, and I invited a lot of art history friends, a lot of like friends that I've made at UK, and gave that presentation. And I was just really overwhelmed by the support and the sheer number of people who came out and shared feedback. And I think those are just the memories that stick out the most to me, that those people are so willing to show up for me and not just, provide like unwavering support, but also give so much feedback and help me grow as a student. And I love my friends at UK so much.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I like about our major. It's, there aren't huge numbers of art history majors. You all, I think, get to know each other really well. Like you form a little cohort, even though it's a really big university, I think within that. But I think too, like within the college, like you really benefited. I mean, playing cello, right? And the sort of interdisciplinarity of the college, like many of the people who were majors might also have been like arts administration majors or music majors or minors, and so I feel like that interdisciplinarity sort of within the college really benefits the students as well. I don't know. I mean, I think like the interdisciplinarity of the college, I think you're like one of the perfect examples, although a lot of our students, I guess, especially in your cohort too, seem to have that interdisciplinary approach.
I mean, that was a critical reason that I went to UK, actually. There was a different school the other school that I was really seriously considering their architecture program. They told me that I wouldn't be able to be in the orchestra, and that was very important to me. Whereas when I went to UK, the people that I spoke to at the College of Design and at the College of Fine Arts were so supportive about that. And I think just being able to be exposed to so many other students at UK who were, in major performing ensembles, but also in really rigorous other majors, like that really encouraged that interdisciplinarity, like you said, and that was really important to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think like using those different parts of your brain, right? I think kind of like that theory of multiple intelligences, right? You're using different kinds of intelligences in these different classes, and that they really benefit one another rather than detracting from sort of being tunnel vision. This is my major, like I'm working in this direction. How all the arts and the different kind of modes of thinking when you're dancing or when you're sitting writing, a research paper, that those things just add to and enrich one another. And I also think provide a relief. Like, I know for myself, like I don't just publish articles, I also curate exhibitions. And that's a very different kind of experience, gathering works together and then installing them in a space and talking to, contemporary artists, like living artists. I mean, the artist I've been writing on for years is no longer alive, right? So it's a very different research kind of practice. And one provides kind of a relief to the other. And I don't know if music is like that for you.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. I think, and two, I think the fact that not only that they provided balance, but that they complemented each other in so many ways, not just in terms of practice, but in terms of the people that you're working with as well. So that it didn't feel like, okay, I'm going to orchestra now, I have to like put on my orchestra hat and this is just who I am for the next 3 hours. It's like, I can be all of these things at the same time. And I mean, even Maestro Nardolillo, whenever I would have an appointment with him, we would spend a time talking about Bierstadt and Edward Hopper because he loves Edward Hopper. So it's just so many, I think, opportunities for that to be normalized, for that to be something that it's like the arts don't have to be siloed. You can be interested in so many aspects of them, and they all inform one another in so many different ways.
But yeah, I wonder, are there any other memories that really stand out about your time in Lexington, your time at UK? Anything you really miss?
I mean, I miss it all. I think, I just think like I remember the capstone for art history, it was the fall semester of my last year, my senior year. And that was kind of like this culminating paper, and we really dug deep into methodology. And instead of writing on, a contemporary artist like proper, Dr. Brischke encouraged me to write on a graphic novelist. And so I wrote my capstone on The Best We Could Do by T. Bowie. And that was kind of the first time that I had ever been like realized that I could write on a graphic novelist in an art historical context. And that also kind of opened up this incredible avenue for me with comic studies, meeting all of these amazing scholars, but having that encouragement from her. And also, I think her sort of picking up on interests that I had never articulated, that I didn't really know were there. I think that's kind of the really amazing thing about, I will pat myself on the back, because I think that's something I did really well while I was at UK was I took advantage of the wealth of knowledge offered by all of you, all the professors. And so in kind of like to the point that it was maybe even annoying, like I was scheduling so many meetings with you all the time, like just wanted to hang out with you all. But I think that I not only got to know you all and your backgrounds and your research really well, but you all sort of started to see interests or abilities that I maybe didn't pick up on myself. And so for Dr. Brischke to encourage that kind of scholarship and to sort of validate it and to support it in the way she did, and for it to result in the amazing things that it has, like that paper took me to the Comics Arts Conference at San Diego Comic Con, and took me to a bunch of comic studies conferences throughout grad school and another publication. I think just the opportunities at UK to not be so entrenched in one specific thing, just to be as broad as possible and to encourage that and to invite that in students is really such a special thing for me.
So what are you up to right now?
Yeah, I'm an assistant of institutional giving at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in DC. So I'm working in development and I'm working from home. And yeah, just, flexing my writing skills trying to support the art.
Well, Isabelle, this has been such a pleasure to talk to you as always. And I hope you, keep me posted on everything you're doing. And whenever you're back in Lexington, we can go out and have a cup of coffee together. So thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. Thank you for everything. This has been so lovely and it's so great to catch up. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you again.
Yes. All right.
Bye. Bye.